The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. You're giving veterans a voice today. Powered by WorkSimple, where we simplify your mission.
Find us on the web at mbradio.u.
Catch me every Military Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern for Lean Into Legacy.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're watching all over the world. And welcome to Lean Into Legacy with JJ. I'm your host, JJ Mahoney, and I have a very special guest for you all today. And I'm so excited for the conversation that you get to listen in on. So Peter E. Hosky is a 22-year retired Army veteran. He's a professional portrait photographer and the founder of THE Portrait Studio 369. After transitioning out of the military,
I can't hear anything.
Peter rebuilt the purpose through entrepreneurship using photography, gardening, and being in nature as a way to help people see themselves with confidence, dignity, and legacy in mind. His studio specializes in branding, headshots, glamour, weddings, real estate, and milestone portrait experiences. Through his work, Peter focuses on more than creating beautiful things. He creates experiences that help people recognize their strength, their story, and their value. Everyone, please welcome to the show, Peter E. Hosky.
Thank y'all. How y'all doing today?
Yes, we're so happy to have you, Peter. And it's such an honor for me because you and I haven't seen each other in years. This is the first time in, let's see.
It's been a while.
Years? 10, 11 years?
Yeah, 11.
Yeah. What have you been doing since then, Peter?
Life. That's the best way of saying.
Yeah.
I've been adjusting, trying to stand on my own legs. I can put it, that's the best way of referencing what I've been doing. Finding myself.
I love that. I mean, that is really so important to the discussion that we need to have with veterans, either who are getting ready to transition, who have transitioned. It's just a conversation that most people don't have. And I'm excited to talk to you about how's it been for you after you took off the uniform?
For me, it took some getting used to, from being so used to doing so much in that uniform to stepping away from it, trying to adjust to doing one thing and trying to stay focused on that one thing. It took some truly adjusting myself to get to that point in life where my last position, I was a first sergeant. So running a company, soldiers responsible for, I had 30 to 40 tasks a day.
Wow.
To just doing one thing a day is a lot.
That's right. And what was that one thing for you?
Being responsible for just myself.
Come on. Talk about it.
Ooh.
Talk about it. And nobody wants to hear that, Peter. I know I didn't. I was like, I've led hundreds. I've been in Afghanistan, Iraq. I've stood at Purple Heart ceremonies, and there's just something that the mind has a hard time comprehending when you're used to so much, like you said. And it sounds so simple, just the one thing, but that one thing is the hardest thing to do.
Yes, it is. Because you've been taught, well, I know I was taught so much, being the leader, the mentoring, always looking out for your battle. But no one tells you how to just focus on you.
Right.
And after 22 years of trying to be a team player, always looking out for everyone else,
Right.
You finally realize that how many people are truly looking out for me? Like I've been always looking out for everyone else. That's a humbling experience.
It definitely is. It definitely is. You know, and then I think the part that we haven't spoken about yet is who is you? Right? Because you're so used to operating in one identity. And that identity, it's a superhero. It really is. Because it's not just you, it's you as a first sergeant,
Yes.
a leader, as you also as a father or managing your own family, you as a friend, but it all evolves around that identity of the person in the uniform.
That is a very deep question to try to answer. I would say that because we never think about when we're wearing that uniform, we're putting on a show.
That's
And
right.
every
Ooh,
morning for PT, we are performing at our best.
come on.
But the scariest part is it's not you get good at acting. I mean, when I say being the best, drinking that Kool-Aid, serving your country, whatever you call it, when you're called, you serve. But it's when you have to realize that there's no one to perform for anymore. And you got to remove that mask and be yourself.
You know what I have to tell you, Peter, is secret
Go ahead.
that only you and looks like 51 people are going to be let in on the secret. I didn't know I was performing. I didn't know. I didn't know I was performing. I thought it was who I was. And it's incredible the strength and the power that comes from that uniform, because the military does a great job of brainwashing us. And I know that sounds like a bad term, but it's true. You know, they indoctrinate us. That's what initial training is. You know, basic training. When you go through, you are indoctrinated into a new way of being. They're
You are right.
right. They give you values. They give you new standards. They teach you discipline. I mean, even if you had those things before, it can look a little different once they have indoctrinated you into what they need you to be as a soldier or as a service member. And for me, you know, the same with you, Peter, 21 years of doing something. And for example, as a officer or a non-commissioned officer, especially in the role as first sergeant, you've got hundreds of soldiers looking at you every single day. And so what you don't realize is that the way that you're showing up, in a way, it is a performance. It's you in that uniform. It's who you need to be as a leader. I didn't know I was performing, Peter.
You know what? I didn't know either. I didn't know till after I left the military. After multiple therapy sessions, trying to find myself.
Just multiple?
I mean,
mine was like a couple hundred.
I tried to limit the number a little bit. Yes, after therapy, I realized, you know, that mask I was wearing, you know, trying to almost be superhuman when you put on that uniform, because that's what was demanded of you, to run the fastest on that PT test, do the most push-ups, lead by example. And then I'm using this word just to use it, but even when you're given a complicated task, you have to pretend like you are confident in it. Why? You can't show any weakness.
No.
Oh, we about to take this hill.
That's right.
No matter what, you know.
Right. And then you have your soldiers maybe asking that, what are we doing? Yes. move out.
It was just that difficult. But once you truly seek and try to stand on your own legs, when you try to find out who you are, and I did that through therapy,
Yeah.
it changed everything for me.
Mm. Do you remember a moment where you realized that you were maybe performing, or that there was something in you shifting?
Yes. I can say I had a old friend of mine that I served in Afghanistan with, who he was already out, and he drove from Alabama all the way to Fort Gordon to sit down and have a honest conversation with me.
That's a good friend.
Oh yes, me and him, we went through Afghanistan, landmines. We did a lot of crazy things back when I was 11 Bravo, before I changed to 35 Golf imagery analyst. So he never gave up on. We always told each other, look, we're gonna look out for each other no matter what.
Yeah.
He drove here and sat me down, and I was happy to see him, but I was more excited to tell him about, being MI and leading the soldiers. And he looked me right in my face and said, man, that's over. What are you still doing?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it hit me. It hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, what?
Wow.
I'm trying to tell you about what I think is amazing. And he said, no, that chapter for you is over.
And I think sometimes the truth hurts.
Oh, yeah.
But it has to. We have to understand that what got us here will not get us there. There's actually a business book with that title. And it's true of any transition. What got you here will not get you there. And I think a challenge that we all have when it comes to that, Peter, is we're not saying that you have to completely let that go, but it has to be translated into what that means now. Because nobody wants to hear about our military stories. And hi to Leon Johnson. Good to see you, man. Let's see. Veteran Trash Talk says corporate world is set on self-preservation and difficult to adjust to. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, it is.
Oh, is this one of your friends?
Yes, it is.
You want to send a shout out?
How you doing, Talani?
And Robert Smith. Good to see you, Robert. And Dan, what got you here will not get you there. Is that a whoa or a whoa? Like an army whoa?
I think it's a whore.
Hola, Veronica. ¿Cómo estás, mi amiga? Veronica's a beautiful woman here in Dallas, Texas. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Gray. It's great to have you here. Yeah, and we have to understand that part of us, I like to move away from saying that part is dead, that part no longer exists, because, and this happened to me, Peter, when we take on, and I took on that mindset. When we take on that mindset, unfortunately, what happens is in our mind, we're erasing all of the skill sets, all of the amazing experiences, everything that we are bringing to the party. And I'll give you an example of that. When I started my business, anytime I went to speak, anytime I went to talk to people, I was talking to them as if I was a brand new business owner with no experience, that hadn't commanded over 550 soldiers, that didn't understand how to plan, conduct, and execute global operations all over the world. Right. I'm like laughing at myself, but this is the case. And I'm so excited to continue this conversation. And right now, though, we've got to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Okay.
They thank me for my service. They shake my hand and smile. They say you made it home now, but they don't see the miles. And they don't hear the silence when the world goes to sleep, or see the ghost beside me in the memories I keep. I still see dusty highways, hear the rotor blades above, still see the folded flag handed to the ones they loved. And every single Memorial Day feels like I'm there again, standing in the middle of goodbye, losing brothers, losing friends. 'Cause I never really came back home. Part of me got left behind, with the names carved into stone and the tears that families hide. Everybody says I survived, like somehow I should feel whole, but every day I carry them deep within my soul. I made it back breathing, but I lost so much alone. The truth is, after war, I never really came back home. For some it's just a holiday, a barbecue a day away. But for those who wore the uniform, the hurt never fades away. It's birthdays they'll never celebrate, kids growing up without their dad, mothers holding pictures close, trying not to break too bad. And I asked God why I made it, why my sea was still filled, why I got another sunrise while my brothers never will. There ain't a medal for the guilt, no parade can heal the pain. You just learn to keep on breathing while it pours like endless rain. I never really came back home. Part of me got left behind, with the names carved into stone and the tears that families hide. Everybody says I survived, like somehow I should feel whole, but every day I carry them deep within my soul. I made it back breathing, but I lost so much alone. The truth is, after war, I never really came back home. If you see me staring quiet, please don't think I don't care. I'm just talking to the memories of the ones no longer there. And every laugh, every freedom, every flag that waves today was paid for by the broken hearts of the ones who couldn't stay. No, I never really came back home, though my boots touch American soil. Part of me stayed on that battlefield, in the smoke and fear and turmoil. So this Memorial Day, remember, freedom came with heavy cost, and some of us are still searching for the pieces that were lost. I'm still here fighting battles that the world may never know, 'cause the day I came home alive was the day I lost my home.
All right. Welcome back to Lean Into Legacy with JJ and Peter E. Husky in the house.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey. Oh, I used to love it. You know, we were talking about identity, and I'll just share with you, Peter, the minute that I realized that I was performing, It was when I was in I was teaching a training event for about 40 some women. And, they're all asking questions and everything's going great. And I'm standing up there in my authority and, just really, really in my power. And they're asking me all these questions and I've got it all together. And then I say goodbye to everyone, get into my car and just start bawling.
Oh,
Bawling, just the tears streaming down my face, running into my hands. I'm looking for a Kleenex, trying to wipe the snot off my face because I realized I'm performing. Nope, nobody knows what's really going on inside. And that actually started, I wouldn't necessarily call it a mental breakdown, but it was this moment, Peter, when I realized I can't do this anymore and I don't want to do this. And I realized that I was going to have to take a break and figure out who I was because performing was just exhausting, Peter.
you are so right. It is. And I think a lot of us who've served deal with this. Some of us know it, some of us don't know it.
Mm,
I think the quicker you recognize it, the more
yeah,
you can adjust to it. But it's that sneaky punch that you get when you realize that, oh man, everything ain't like I thought.
that's right.
So I can
That's
understand
right.
what you meant. Yeah.
Who did you have to become when you took off that uniform?
I had to become a friend,
Mm,
a husband, a father,
mm,
a son.
yeah,
It was so many different roles that I had to realize when I took that uniform off.
right.
And now, that's another part that a lot of hold on for a second.
Do 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 do
And I'm right back.
do 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 do.
I mean, that's a lot of things that service members have to deal with that the average person don't. Um, and playing that role or being that character, there's so many different avenues and paths you can take. Mine was realizing that after the military, it's all about my actions and decisions now because I can no longer put on that superhero suit and stand out or try to stand out. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah.
Um, because I enjoyed serving, taking
Yes.
care of soldiers, helping them overcome obstacles that they didn't know internally that was
Mm,
destroying me. But at the same time, I never could show them that, hey, look, I know we about to help you pass this PT test, even if I got to get out there and push you,
right.
you know.
Right.
And the whole time, you just went in for an appointment because you got your back swollen or,
Mm,
your leg is numb. Soldiers don't know any of these things.
that's right.
And these are the things you have to deal with.
Yeah.
And I know that's like kryptonite for a soldier. Saying you're broken, that you can't be 100%, that was difficult for me.
Yeah. And,
Very
and
difficult.
that's definitely something that takes time too, right? Because I think there's got to be some type of scientific wonder. If people were to study soldiers or service members, how they operate while they're serving, right? Because there's so many things wrong with us, but we know we got to push through.
Yes.
We know it.
Yes.
And so people are
Yes.
like, well, we get out and we've got a significant disability rating and everybody's looking at us like what's wrong? I don't understand what's wrong with you, and what's
Oh, you
wrong is
speaking the truth now.
and then, the other thing that I have learned, and through studies, that the body becomes addicted to adrenaline. So we are operating with so much adrenaline during the regular day that our body, we're operating with it. So what happens is when we get out of the military and we don't have that same adrenaline feed pumping through our body, it becomes very challenging us to function during the day. And then all of a sudden, all those pains, start to really manifest.
Boy.
What did you discover about your body after you actually allowed it to start healing?
That's a pretty deep question there, because I'm still finding out things about my body to this day. As I slowly heal, and I'm only saying this because I literally had to change up everything to get my body to heal. I mean, I had to change up how I ate. I have to grow my own food in my backyard.
Wow.
And I mean, from fruit trees to vegetables, because I wanted to truly understand what was going on in me.
Mm.
And the only way I can do that, I mean, being an analyst myself, I had to analyze what the problem was. And the problem was I was allowing someone else to prep my food, to tell me what to eat, or the commercials try to influence you in every other way. And I
Yeah.
had to get rid of all that. And I had to focus on pure health.
Yeah.
And it really allowed me to realize that my legs, my back, they were inflamed. My
Mm-hmm.
shoulders, everything was just hurting. When you wake up in the morning, you can't move. I really had to go on I would say a spiritual
Yeah.
path or journey
Yeah.
that led to where I'm at right now in life. You know,
Yeah.
trying to something as simple as my feet when I get up out the bed. When you first put them down on that floor, the irritation was unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. It's again, like there's so many aspects of transitioning that nobody talks about. They talk about
Yes,
having your resume, you know, job searching and, all of the things that on the surface seem like they're important, but nothing about what you really need to physically, psychologically, mentally prepare for.
that is so correct.
Yeah. What advice would you have to someone getting ready to transition or who's struggling through a transition now when it comes to allowing your body to heal?
Ooh, be honest. You
Mm.
truly have to be honest with yourself. And this goes back to what we were just talking about. You got to separate taking off that mask, what you're trying to project out for everyone to see and get approval on, and define who you truly are.
Yeah.
You have to truly look in that mirror and say, listen, I'm not hiding anymore. I'm hurt. I can't run like I used to. My knees. You have to really dial it down a little bit and truly be honest with yourself. That's the best advice I can give anyone who's about to make that transition. Because after that transition, every decision you make now, it's about you.
That's right.
And that person that you've failed to take care of for the last whatever it is, 5 years, 10 years. For me, it was 22 years. I had to truly sit with that and say, well, you've been taking care of everyone else. Why didn't you take care of yourself? Why did you do that 25 miler, that 50 miler, when you know your back was already hurt? Oh, yes. I would tell someone who's about to transition, stand in the mirror and truly be honest with who they are.
Absolutely. That's so beautiful, Peter. And with that, we're going to take a short pause for another commercial break.
Okay.
And I look forward to when we get back from the break, we're going to talk about being an entrepreneur.
Oh, there we go.
We'll be right back.
They thank me for my service. They shake my hand and smile. They say you made it home now, but they don't see the miles. And they don't hear the silence when the world goes to sleep, or see the ghost beside me in the memories I keep. I still see dusty highways, hear the rotor blades above, still see the folded flag handed to the ones they loved. And every single Memorial Day feels like I'm there again, standing in the middle of goodbye, losing brothers, losing friends. 'Cause I never really came back home. Part of me got left behind, with the names carved into stone and the tears that families hide. Everybody says I survived, like somehow I should feel whole. But every day I carry them deep within my soul. I made it back breathing, but I lost so much alone. The truth is, after war, I never really came back home. For some it's just a holiday, a barbecue a day away. But for those who wore the uniform, the hurt never fades away. It's birthdays they'll never celebrate, kids growing up without their dad, mothers holding pictures close, trying not to break too bad. And I asked God why I made it, why my sea was still filled, why I got another sunrise while my brothers never will. There ain't a medal for the guilt, no parade can heal the pain. You just learn to keep on breathing while it pours like endless rain. I never really came back home. Part of me got left behind, with the names carved into stone and the tears that families hide. Everybody says I survived, like somehow I should feel whole. But every day I carry them deep within my soul. I made it back breathing, but I lost so much alone. The truth is, after war, I never really came back home. If you see me staring quiet, please don't think I don't care. I'm just talking to the memories of the ones no longer there. And every laugh, every freedom, every flag that waves today was paid for by the broken hearts of the ones who couldn't stay. No, I never really came back home, though my boots touch American soil. Part of me stayed on that battlefield, in the smoke and fear and turmoil. So this Memorial Day, remember, freedom came with heavy cost, and some of us are still searching for the pieces that were lost. I'm still here fighting battles that the world may never know, 'cause the day I came home alive was the day I lost my home.
All right, welcome back to Lean Into Legacy with your host, JJ Mahoney, and our special guest, Peter E. Hosky. Welcome back. So, we talked a lot about how challenging the transition can be. It's one thing to have to figure out your new identity, to let your body heal. And then there's the challenge of deciding what we want to do next. So, what did that look like for you, Peter?
Oh, now that was the easiest transition I had. Only because, see, even when I was at the schoolhouse, I was already doing photography. And I had been doing it for now, it's been over 15 years.
Wow.
So even when you were my company commander,
Wow.
I was instructing, I was coaching, and doing photography.
That's amazing. So do I understand correctly that you didn't have any hesitation to what you were going to do next? You knew what profession you were going to step into?
Well, I'm not going to say new. It just was easy. It came pretty easy for me. My foundation was already laid.
Yeah.
I was already pretty good at it. And my processes were the only thing I had to finesse. I had to really dial them in, because there's a big difference calling yourself a photographer versus
Yes.
stepping on that professional side,
Yeah.
getting big clientele, Now that I had to do a lot of educating myself, a lot of classes, truly getting mentored by other professionals who've been in, they were in the game for a lot longer than me.
Yes. So for you, would you say you already had your business up and running, or were you operating more like a freelance photographer?
Yes, I was more like a freelance. And I had to truly dial it in on what I wanted to do. Because at one point, I can say this, before I transitioned, my focus was health. And because of my ABIC certifications, and teaching came really easy for me, the first thing I really wanted to do was teach people how to get healthy. So it was really gardening, how to prune trees, how to plant, how to prepare your soil. And I mean, I'm talking, we were on fungi and bacteria, how to grow it for your soil composition so it can really help your plants multiply or grow really fast. These are the things I was focused on teaching others. And I enjoyed it. That's what helped me turn my whole backyard into a grocery store.
That's amazing. So did you do that as a business? Like how did that work for you? Were you offering
Well,
free training? Did it become an official business?
it started out as neighbors. And and I retired 2020, soon as COVID hit. So when the supermarkets were drying up here in Augusta and everyone was panicking, my neighbors never panicked because we were growing enough things in my backyard to help everyone in my community. So we literally was giving fruits and vegetables out, eggs. We were helping families, and they were trying to give everything they had, but none of it mattered then. We were all about working together.
Can you please come set up my backyard? It is amazing, Peter. That is absolutely incredible. And this is the one thing I try and tell business owners. Ms. Gray says, "A man of many hats." Indeed. This is so incredible.
Thank you,
And
Talani.
to me, there are so many people that they're like, "Oh, I'm going to have a business and I want to do this and I want to do that." And I remember sitting on a board once on a mastermind of some very powerful women in Dallas. And we were listening to this woman tell us about the nonprofit that she wanted to start. And she was an amazing baker. And so she wanted to use that as a way to help people heal, by bringing them together over this amazing food. And so we went around the table and people were asking questions. And the question that I had, she did not like. I asked her, "What does this look like?" And she said, "Well, I explained it to you." And I said, "Okay, but who have you helped so far?" "Well, nobody, but I have this big grand idea." And I said, you have to, it has to start organically. You have to put yourself out there, serve others, And this is whether it's a nonprofit or a business, Peter, you have to prove that you have a service that people want or need. And people don't understand that. They have this big idea, and of course she had a ton of money and so she was ready to invest a lot of money, and I recommended to her, I really think that you should just go to a women's shelter, go to some place where people need you, and bring some food and have some conversations. And, unfortunately, I don't think she cared for that answer very much, but, that's exactly what you did, Peter. And I truly believe anytime you're starting a business, starting a nonprofit, you have to get your hands dirty at first. And that sounds like exactly what you did, figuratively and literally. You got your soil.
You are right. It was, but it was also something that just came natural to me, and I didn't see it as work. Because when you're truly teaching people how to ground with nature, how to give back or be in service, because that's basically what you are. You're learning how to take care of something that's way more delicate and more complicated than yourself.
Wow, that is such a powerful lesson. And I see so many compliments of what you learned in your leadership positions to how that translates to what you're doing now. But what do you think
Yeah.
are the ways that your leadership skills translated into your business?
Oh, the biggest right off the bat, being understanding someone else's perspective. Okay. Because we're so quick to only see things from our view, but it takes a strong leader, okay, to truly assess his troops or people around him and see things through their eyes.
Mm, that's so good.
Because it's easy for me to say, oh, I'm healthy now and not care about anybody else. But when you see someone who's come to you and they say, hey, I'm bloated, my digestive system is off, I don't know what to eat, I don't know why I'm breaking out, you literally teach them the simplest thing and they feel so much better. You teach them how to just take off their shoes and walk on bare ground and ground themselves.
Mm,
And
that's so
they
powerful.
start out thinking it's about to be so complicated. No, we start with the basics and then we evolve to, being able to plant plants, understanding the whole concept of how to plant your yard out. So nature alone takes care of itself, really.
Yeah.
You know, it's a nice process to teach someone and to see the smile on their face once they get it.
Right. Well,
It's
and I
beautiful.
think what you just said, though, Peter, is such a important lesson and can be applied to anything in life. Just like basic training, you start off with the very basics, the very basics of how to be a soldier, how to be a sailor, how to be an airman. You know, you can't move on until you accomplish those things. And
Correct.
once you do, once you put time into the foundation, that's when you really start to take off. I remember our brigade commander, I was so excited to take over our company. And I sat down with him for my first meeting and I told him all these amazing things that I wanted to do. And he kind of shook his head. And he said, no, I want you to start off with just the basics. Get the basics right first, Mahoney.
Oh, okay. I could see that.
Yeah. And I mean, everything that you're talking about, when you say like somebody looks at your garden, they're like, how can I accomplish that? That's too hard. But you teach them step by step, and that's the same thing with starting a business too. Just like we were talking about, you have to start at the ground level, organically put your service out there, gift your service to some people, get feedback, find out, like you said, what's their perspective? How do they see it?
It is. And that foundation is the same thing I use to truly build my business.
Wow.
And now my foundation is solid. My systems are pretty good. I
Yeah.
got now my marketing. I can use some help on.
I got you there, Peter.
All right, now see that's what
I
I'm
got you
talking
there.
about.
I got you there. And here's the thing too, there are people out there that want to help us, right?
Hmm.
And we've got a question here that we're going to answer as soon as we come back from our break. We'll be right back, y'all, in just a moment.
Okay, we gonna get to that question.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. You're giving veterans a voice today. Powered by WorkSimple, where we simplify your mission.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
The station
Stats tell that each day, 22 veterans commit suicide due to PTSD. These stats shook us and urged us to do our part. After hours and hours of thinking, Beekeeping for Veterans was born. Beekeeping for Veterans combines beekeeping with mindfulness meditation. Why combine them? Here's why. Beekeeping causes positive rush of adrenaline while beekeeping. You have to be calm during it. You are mindful of your movements. Each week, a veteran will receive a mindful meditation to build emotional and mental skill sets. Mindfulness is a set of 3 attentional skills that work together: concentration, sensory clarity, and equanimity, mental calmness, composure, evenness of temper. Every time mindfulness is practiced, we build these skills. Beekeeping for Veterans not only helps veterans overcome emotional trauma, but also aids our environment, as without bees, there is no food. Come forward. The people who have supported your country now need your support.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. You're giving veterans a voice today. Powered by WorkSimple, where we simplify your mission.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
All right, we're back from our commercial break. And as I promised, we've got a question here. What's something civilians often misunderstand about the psychological transition from military life to civilian life? Thank you for that, Ms. Gray. That is a beautiful question.
Man, that's a good one. Well, first do you want to take a stab at this one first?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I think one thing that I would have to explain is that so many civilians think, especially the ones that know us, our friends or family, and have seen us progress over the years, they assume that because we've been in war or we've been shot at or we've handled very challenging situations, that it doesn't necessarily mean that we're prepared to handle something we haven't experienced before, which is a transition. It's a whole change of life. It's something completely new, and it's challenging, and it's scary. So I think we have to understand, for civilians, I would invite them to understand that this is something new to us, and although you might see us wearing the Superman cape or Superwoman cape, it doesn't work that way.
That's a good one. And you are right. And I want to tie right into what you just stated. I actually had I'm going to say a civilian. I was getting out the car at Walmart, and I was parked in a handicap spot, and they were upset with me. They say, ain't nothing wrong with you. And I would, with all due respect for that individual, I gracefully stated, you just don't understand, because you don't physically see something missing on my body. You don't understand what's going on up here and the things I've been through. So I'm going to tie into the mental aspect of this question. The transition, the things we go through in uniform, it breaks a lot of people. A lot of us don't make it through that transition.
Yeah.
So what I would say for a lot of civilians, try to understand a person before you judge them.
Yeah.
Because even most of my friends don't know half of the things we had to go through in that uniform from Afghanistan, Iraq. And I smile and I talk, but my kids, my wife, no one truly understands my journey because, I mean, having a top secret clearance, doing your job every day, you don't get to talk about anything.
That's right.
You got to hold all that in. And there is no, even now talking to my therapist, I can't tell them about target packages we done had to build. I mean, I'm just putting that out there. Most
And
civilians don't
so I'm sorry to interrupt you, Peter, but target packages are literally a proposal for the United States military to take out a person, a thing, etc. So when he says target packages, we're talking about dire consequences on the other end of that decision. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you are good because you just really emphasize the importance of what we deal with every day. Because I literally had to go to work, come home, and still play dad, knowing what I just created. And I had to mentally process that. So I think a lot of civilians don't understand. We all have different jobs in the military, but some jobs are truly mentally heavy. That was a pretty good question.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And look at this pretty lady.
Thanks, sis.
Oh, that's so sweet. You know, that is just such a strong indication of who you are as a human being, Peter. You know, that people show up for you the way that they have been here supporting you on this podcast. I mean, that speaks to your character. That speaks to who you are as a human being. And I just want to commend you for that.
I'm going to cut this light right back on.
Do, 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 do.
You good. See, this is when you're a one-man studio.
Oh, and John Herring's in the house. Did you know Command Sergeant Major John Herring when you were at Fort Huachuca? Incredible, incredible.
No,
man.
I didn't. I never got a chance to meet him.
Yeah, amazing man. He says, for me, the transition has been harder mentally than any of my deployments. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, John. Thank you for sharing that. People don't understand that. They don't understand that. They say, what could be harder than being shot at? I'd take that any day. I would take that any day. I used to say that, you know, for me, especially like, I would rather be back in combat than, you know, going through day by day on my own as an entrepreneur. Because it's hard for people that haven't been in combat to understand, because I think most people are so scared of the idea that you could possibly lose a limb or, you know, a vital organ.
You're right.
You know, so I understand that, but what they don't understand is that we were trained to do that. We have muscle memory to do that. If we get shot at, we're trained to go towards the fire. You know, we do that. The Army trains us, we fight. So we're prepared, so we don't have to think about how to respond. We have muscle memory for these things. But what you don't have muscle memory for is being alone, trying to process the struggle that you're going through by yourself, feeling like nobody understands what you're experiencing.
Oh, that's deep. Now, the top of what you just said, which was amazing. It's the team aspect of it. When I'm getting shot at, I know I got somebody on my 6. I know I'm going to call out, even if I'm hurt. I know what they going to carry me back to safety. See, you always got somebody at war. But when you get home and you make that transition for the first time in your career, you're alone.
That's so right. That's so right. And then people think, you know, and this goes back to Miss Gray's question, you know, what's the hardest thing for civilians to understand, or what do you wish civilians understood? It's like for a civilian, they think, oh, this should be really easy for you. You're taking off the uniform, you get to relax a bit, you know, you have more control over your schedule and your time. And so for a civilian, I think they just assume now comes the easy part, and they don't understand this is the hardest challenge that we're facing.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that, John. Thank you.
That was a good one. That was a very good question or statement.
Yeah. All right. You want to read this one?
If the military can train someone to think, react, and view the world a certain way, what was the hardest mindset to unlearn once you became a civilian?
Wow.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Great question. You know, and we might have a little, I don't know, we might have a little bit of an insight. So what's the hardest mindset to unlearn once you become a civilian? Let's see what John Herring says. I was never trained to explain to my grandkids why Pawpaw doesn't want to take them to see fireworks, or why they shouldn't grab you from behind.
Oh,
that's really good, John.
Oh, that's yes.
And going back to Miss Gray's question, I think the hardest thing for me to learn was that I couldn't do it all on my own. You know, which seems almost like a misnomer, because technically we never did anything all on our own in the military, but yet we kind of did. You know, yet we kind of did. We could step up into that role. We could lead. We could command. We could organize. But when you're no longer in the military, you have to understand that you don't have all of that built in to your system. And so you need to ask for help. You need to ask for people to be on your team. What do you think, Peter? What was the hardest thing for you to unlearn?
That I'm human. Because when I put that uniform on, it wasn't a helicopter, a cliff. It wasn't a location I couldn't get to. I felt superhuman.
Yeah.
And I deal with that right now at work. I mean, you give me a task, I'm on it. It's already done. But yet they want you to spend all day doing it.
That's
so
right.
I know that may sound a little off a little bit, but when you got that military mentality, I'm trying to get the first task out the way because I'm waiting on the next. That's not in the civilian world. They only want you to do one thing, and that's it.
Right. That's right. Yeah, I agree with that, Peter. I think it's challenging because we're used to the demand level being up here. And so when it's really under here, it's hard for us to adjust to that, you know, and to tell our minds it's okay to relax a bit.
Take your time. You know what? Let this last for 2 or 3 hours. Yeah.
That's right.
That is very hard. That is very hard to do.
Absolutely. And I'm excited to talk more about your business, Peter. And we're going to get back to that in just a minute, right after this commercial break. And we've got a note from John coming up too. I'm excited to see what John has to say. We'll be back in a moment.
Okay.
"60 years went rolling by, It was here we said goodbye. The war was brewing, it was extreme. We were only teens. I knew the day I died, all alone, my brand new bride. Our favorite song would be a sign I'd be back in time. So raise a flag with pride and grace. I seen the pain on a soldier's face. Bring me home, both sides say I'm a soldier of the USA. You weren't alone all these years. Seen you cry, I know your tears. You raised our child and a family, all without me. You've done well with your life, lots of friends by your side. I heard a nightly secret prayer, I was always there. So raise a flag with pride and grace. I seen the pain on a soldier's face. Bring me home, both sides say I'm a soldier of the USA. Now it's time, my lovely wife, to bring you home. Say goodnight. Close your eyes to our favorite song. Can you see me now? Can you see me now? One day we'll come back in time for those we leave behind. But for now, we'll watch them grow. Welcome home. Welcome home. Welcome home.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
All right, and we're back with Peter Hosky in the house. Peter, how are you?
I am doing amazing. And how are you doing?
I'm just so happy to reconnect with you, and I'm so happy that we can have this important conversation because I never had this conversation with anybody when I was retiring, and for the almost 2.5 years that I went through, like the hardest part of it, and I wish I could have sat in on a conversation like this.
You're right. It is so important to have these deep conversations to help those who are about to make that transition.
Yes, or even those who have transitioned, because I think about it, Peter. I mean, even last year, even though I was 2 years into my transition, I mean, that's when it hit me the hardest, that I was struggling, and I have my good friend Ragnar, who Ragnar said it took him like 6 years before he started to understand these things. And for everybody, I think it's a different timeline. But we have to understand that this is going to happen. I don't know about you, Peter, but when people hinted at, oh, transition's not as easy as it, I'm like, whatever. You don't know me. I just laugh at myself now. How completely wrong was I? What about you? Did you have that moment too?
Oh, I talked noise. I said, oh, I'm not going to miss anything. I'm good. I got this. I fell apart 6 months after leaving.
Absolutely. And here's that comment I promised you guys from John. He says, we functioned as team members in our service role. As a civilian, you don't have that person or team has your six, no matter the situation. It's a hard adjustment. It really is. It really is. And, we could talk about having say you go into a role where you manage 10 people. It's not the same. Nothing can replace the camaraderie that comes with knowing that literally we might have to lay down our lives for one another. Here's a great question for you. What was harder for you, deploying or redeploying? Great question, Darius. That's a great question.
For me, it was redeploying. It was your body is so full of adrenaline every day you wake up. When you get that notification, I'm gonna call it, that it's time to go home, now I'm nervous. I'm worried because everything I've infected myself with, and I call it an infection because when you're out behind that wire and you're worried every day about, someone shooting at you or your patrol getting ambushed or whatever it may be, one day you're going to feel better when you get to come home. But everything you've experienced while you were deployed, you have to bring home. And it was difficult for me because I know I had to keep that energy away from my family and my kids. Even my brothers and sisters didn't know half of the things I had to go through. So that is a pretty good one. Thank you, Darius.
Yeah, that was a great question, Darius. And I couldn't agree more. Redeploying always seemed to be harder. And, it goes back to the discussion we were having about the chemicals running through your body that you're used to operating on. When you're used to that adrenaline coursing through your vein and now all of a sudden you don't have it anymore, it can be very challenging.
Hold on for a second. Let me see what that is.
I think for our listeners, I think what's happening is Peter is hearing my dog, Doja. Yes, I'm talking about you interrupting the show. My little support animal is not being very supportive right now.
Look, I was reading the comments. I thought it was something going on my end. I was like, oh, hold up. Let me.
So unfortunately for our listeners, what's happening right now is my dog is very mad at me for not paying attention to her. And so she decided to bring her squeaky toy in here and is trying to make herself known. Sorry about that, Peter.
Oh, you good.
Yeah, and
we got
go ahead.
We got a pretty good statement from John again.
Oh, let's see. Redeployment was harder for me. A lot changes in a year. Oh, wow, that's so good. The pace change is dramatic. Yes, and then I would also amplify that by saying that. And Peter, if you could you mute yourself when you're not talking? Or you actually are muted, aren't you? Huh. Sorry, guys. Trying to figure out. We're getting a little bit of back feed going on. But yeah, so when we redeploy and the pace change, like John says, the same thing happens with transition, but to an exponential level, so that can be quite drastic to try and deal with, as we're adjusting to that. And I don't know about you, Peter, but what happened for me as well is not only did the pace change, but kind of how you were talking about the emotional healing and the spiritual healing that needed to happen. I got extremely depressed. And what I didn't realize is I was dealing with extensive survivor's guilt. Did you have to deal with that at all?
Yes. From the great battle buddies that was lost to actually being in some of those missions and convoys where you left with that individual, but they didn't return. So yes, I still have those nightmares.
And I think that's the other thing that, again, civilians, going back to that great question from Miss Gray, I think that's another thing civilians need to understand, even tied to what you were telling us, Peter, about, how some man had the audacity to say you shouldn't be, in a handicap position. You have no idea what we've been through. And I don't want to sound like I'm lecturing, but I do want to invite our audience members, whether you are a veteran who served or whether you're a friend of mine or Peter's and you have no idea about the military, like whatever has brought you here to be listening to tonight, I want to invite you to consider, we don't know what anybody's going through. Nobody. We don't know what people are going through, y'all. We don't know. I used to get so mad when a driver would cut me off or lay down on his horn, and then I remember a day that I laid on my horn and I started, and what was going on for me that day? It was an incredibly stressful day. Something really horrible had happened for me. And so, of course, I'm reacting, intensely. And so, but what happens, I think, is we as human beings, all we're thinking about is the world that we live in and what's our perspective and we're going along with our great day. And here's some jerk that, pulls in front of us and then gives us the finger and like, how dare you? Right? But you have no idea. We have no idea. And I just invite you to consider that, people, like, let's stop being so quick to judge and let's just try and be a little bit more understanding, and just give people just a sliver of the benefit of the doubt, just a sliver. Joel says, the biggest infection in me was surviving the whole year. I was scared of an event happening when you came back because you lose yourself when you don't know when you're coming home. It's hell. Thank you so much for that, Joe. And Peter, we've got another question for you. Thank you, Miss Gray. Did the military change who you are or just how you operate? These are great questions. Did you slip her some money before we started? That's a great question.
That is a great question. Did the military change who? Yes, I'm going to say it right now. Yes, the military, it takes a part of you and it evolves it at a rapid pace to the point where you feel you can catch, see, and predict majority of your situations before they happen. And that's because of the different TTPs and training we have to do. And we train and enjoy that training nonstop. It's basically cycles where the military teaches you, okay, for this next 90 days, you're doing field problems or you're doing JRTC, you're doing something to get better at what your job is. And once you transition and got to cut that off, yes, it's different. So I can say, yes, the military does train you. It changes you a little. Hold up, I can't hear
Oh, that
you.
was me. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I was unmuted, but Darius has a great question for us, a hard question, but one I think we should talk about. And he asked, have you ever lost a soldier to suicide after a conflict?
That's a pretty good one, Darius. And my answer gonna be yes. And it goes back to the same energy we were speaking about earlier. After a deployment, you've been ride or die with someone. Y'all been locked in, you sleep, eat, everything you do is teamwork. You survive all these different missions that you need to do for your battalion or your brigade or whatever it may be. And when that person gets home, they feel lost or alone. And yes, I lost a really good friend to suicide, and that's something we don't talk about. Um, from my perspective, he was flawless. Anytime a room needed to be cleared, anytime he would give his own life. Well, I thought he would have given his own life to save someone on the team. Because just the way he was the first to do everything. He going through that door first. He's clearing that window first. He is going after the enemy, no problem. And we all thought he was untouchable and didn't understand why he was doing all those things until we got back and found out that he actually felt alone. He didn't say anything to anybody, but once you go through, the training, you start paying attention to the details that you missed. And I actually blame myself for missing some of those details. Man, that's a really good one, Darius. Thank you, man.
And Peter, I just want to relieve some of the burden that you carry with that, because I talked a little bit about this on the Memorial Day episode, but sometimes we think the hardest thing is feeling like we missed a sign, feeling like there's something we could have done. But I had a soldier in my unit that we saw all the signs and we were doing everything that we could to help him. And nothing that we did helped Peter. And no matter what, it's a horrible situation, but actually seeing somebody struggle is so challenging. And, this is another injury that we need to talk about, which is traumatic brain injuries, TBIs. So there's so much new research that shows just the residual effect of a TBI and how it compounds and how it can affect all aspects of how our brain functions, to the point where there's paranoia. People do things they don't even know, they're not even aware they're doing. And that's one thing that I really hope that the military is making better strides to understand. If a soldier or a service member has a TBI, we have to do something before it gets too bad. We have to take it seriously. And again, that goes back to everything Peter was saying, like, just because you can't physically see something wrong with somebody doesn't mean that they're not in excruciating pain. And that's one thing that we have to deal with. And Darius, I hate to say this, but I'm very afraid that if I were to ask the veterans that are listening right now, if one of them could raise their hand and tell us if they were able to go their career without knowing somebody that killed themselves, I'm not going to ask it, because my fear is it would be radio silence. And that weighs on you. And then, it's one thing to lose soldiers in combat, of course, but it's another thing when you also are dealing with soldiers or service members that passed, from non-visual combat wounds. And we carry all of that. Somebody looks at Peter, good-looking guy, dressed nicely, successful business owner. He's got it all figured out. They have no idea, Peter, the heartbreak that you carry with you on a day-to-day basis.
Darius, that was a very emotional question you asked then. It took me back to old energy that I, did some therapy. And I think a lot of us need to truly, when something's off, find someone to help you. So I'm going to say again, thank you for that question, man.
Yes. And if you need help, please reach out. Let me know. Y'all can reach me on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. I've got all my stuff up here. I'm sure Peter will make the same effort. Like you are not alone. That's exactly why we have these conversations, to let you know you're not alone. If you need help, please, there are people like us. There are organizations. There are nonprofits. You're not alone. But the hardest thing, and I understand this, is asking for help. So Terrence says, if you had to do it all over again, would you, knowing what you know now? It's a great question, Terrence.
I'm going to say this, Terrence. Thank you for the question, first of all, man. Thanks for your support. When you meet amazing people like JJ, it made doing everything I did worth it. Because first of all, not every day you get a company commander who's trying her best to understand you. And not just understand you, but let you be a great leader. Because it wasn't easy. I mean, you had people probably running to her office telling on me, saying, oh, he did this and he did that. But she supported you. Ma'am, I already know it had to be a lot of people in your office.
Not saying anything bad about you.
But yes, I would. From the experience I've had up to now, I mean, all the deployments, all the camaraderie, even some of the good people that we've lost along the way. It was painful, but it has helped me evolve to be a better person, a better friend, father. I mean, I've told my sons are in the military now, so that lets you know that I wouldn't change a thing, because the young man who put on that uniform back in 1998, he is not the man that is sitting in front of you. So that's how I would answer that question. That is a pretty good one there. I wouldn't change a thing. How about you, man?
I wouldn't either. And stop trying to make me cry. Yeah, you learned so much about who you are in the military. And I appreciate your comment, Peter, but I would tell you, I did not feel like that when I was commanding. I felt like everything I was doing, it was wrong. I could have done it better. Oh, absolutely. And then, having some time and space to reflect after I've matured and gained a higher rank and higher positions. I mean, I cringe when I think about who I was as a company commander. I do.
Man, you were one of the best commanders I've ever served with. When we met in Korea?
Yes.
I told my battalion commander about you.
Aww.
And she made sure she sought out to meet you.
Was that April Sco?
You see? I didn't even have to say anything. Ain't that amazing?
It is amazing. I do remember her coming up to me and I was like, why is the battalion commander talking to me? She's an amazing lady. Thank you, Peter.
She is. But she asked me one day, where did you get a lot of your foundation from? And I said it was great leaders allowing me to lead.
Wow.
And I name tagged you, and she actually went to find you because you was in Korea at the time.
Oh, wow, Peter. And the thing that I love about that is the fact that the same way that you talk about some leadership lessons you've learned from me it's the same way there are soldiers talking about you to this day. And they are making an impact for somebody. And somebody's asking them, how did you become such a great leader? Well, I had this amazing First Sergeant Hosky, and I think that's something that we can all think about. And, I'd like to actually bring up now, it's the whole point of this show. It's called Lean Into Legacy. And the reason for that is because each of us, whether we know it or not, we are creating a legacy for ourselves. And before we move into your thoughts on that, Peter, I just want to highlight some comments we've had here. So John commented that he felt the loss to suicide after deployments was actually harder than the combat losses. And I think Peter and I agree. Yeah, we agree with that. And Joel says, it's worse when it happens at home because you had the means to communicate, but yet we choose not to. Wow. And another great question here. Peter, what is one of your best memories from being on active duty?
All right. A memory that a lot of people just don't know. One of my best memories from being on active duty was being deployed to Afghanistan, being in a sandstorm, playing paper, rock, scissors to get out of it for about 2 miles, dragging our feet, making sure we didn't hit any landmine. That was a story that most people will not talk about, but listen to me. When you have one of the best, well, first of all, when you're in one of the best units in the military, I was with 3187 Rocket Sons. I trusted everyone in my brigade. Okay. To the point where, yes, it was a possibility I could have hit a landmine and lost my life. Yes, I could have. But based on what we both did, me and Turner, Jerry Turner, if you're watching, you know you're still my boy.
Shout out to Jerry.
Hey, to be able to accomplish that, to get back to the base safe and didn't lose any lives, that was one of the greatest memories I can ever recall doing in the military. And some would call it stupid.
That's an incredible story. And what a perfect time to show this beautiful message from Lamar. What an honor to see him honoring his dad. And he's a service member, correct?
Yes. He's at Fort Hood right now. What's going on, son?
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And shout out to my good friend, Michelle. It was such a blessing to work with you too, you know, and I think that's a perfect segue to move into the legacy conversation. You know, one more message here. April was my CO in Korea. Great leader. Yes, she is. Yes, she is, John. JJ, you were one of the best leaders I've ever served with. Oh, I'll send you your money as soon as the show's over. You know, the thing I want to say about that, Peter, is sometimes people don't tell you how much they appreciate you in real time. But every day you are giving people an opportunity to learn something from you and to make their own impression of who you are. And to me, that's what legacy is about. It's choosing every day to show up for the people you love, the people you care about, the people you interact with during the day. What does legacy mean to you, Peter?
I mean, we just really experienced it with my son tapping into here, knowing he's literally being me, an image of me in Fort Hood right now is the best way I can sum up legacy, because from the beginning of his career to now, you thought I was good at leading. I taught him everything I know. And that is a blessing. So to even have him come on this and give a shout out to his father, it's amazing. And I'm so blessed and thankful.
That's incredible. And Lamar, obviously a direct reflection of who you are as a leader, as a man, Peter. But I guarantee you that if I had the chance to call up all of the soldiers that were led by you as their first sergeant, I don't think I could keep up with the comments here of how many people wanted to say thank you for all you've done and what you have personally meant to each of them, the way that you took care of them, the way that you showed up for them, the way that you ran with them on a PT test, even though you needed to see a doctor for your back, And sometimes I think we think of legacy as this big thing. I often say that, at least for me, sometimes I used to think legacy was like having your name on a library or, like the George W. Bush, interstate. But that's not really, if we look at legacy that way, we're missing the impact that we can have on the lives of all the people we are encountering day to day. Peter, when you look at what you thought legacy was during your military career, has it transitioned or changed or evolved at all to where you are now?
Well, one of the things I focused on as a mentor, as a leader, when I was in uniform was when I look into soldiers' eyes, I wanted to see a spitting image of me in every aspect. So I really pushed them and always wanted to ingrain, give all you have. Because some days you can only show up with 30%. Some days you can show up with 100. I was not one of those leaders who wanted you to perform every day 100%, because I know it didn't make any sense. So I've taken the same concepts and I put that in everything I touch, or everything that the Lord allows me to touch. I'll say that.
Amen. That's so powerful, Peter. And I just want to invite you all listening. You can do the same thing too. You never know how your interaction with somebody can impact them. But just like Peter said, if you make a decision that you're going to give it your best, whatever that best looks like for the day, that's how you build legacy. And I just want to honor John here, whose son is a Black Hawk pilot at Fort Hood as well. And his youngest brother is in Alaska doing cyber. Like Lamar, they are legacies. That's so powerful. That's so powerful, John. And we've got to take a quick commercial break, but we will be back in just a short moment.
Whatever happened to the brave young soldier? He was a good friend of mine. They say as he died, he never once cried, lying with his brothers there by his side. At 19 years old, he was sent off to war, not really sure what he was fighting for. So he fights for what's behind him and his brothers beside him. Together they'll weather the storm. 9 long months later and he's still alive. Fought several long battles you shouldn't have survived. Then the IED exploded as the ambush unfolded. He laid there bleeding as his brothers all died. Whatever happened to the brave young soldier? He was a good friend of mine. They say as he died, he never once cried, lying with his brothers there by his side.
reinforcements arrived in the nick of time. Old Doc had found him and called in the nightlight. He awoke in the hospital, they patched all the holes. Too bad they couldn't fix the ones in his soul. 16 years later he locks all the doors, unable to find anything worth living for. His family has left him, he feels society rejects him. With a bottle and a pistol, he falls to the floor. Whatever happened to the brave old veteran? He was a good friend of mine. They say as he died, he sat there and cried, with only his memories sitting there by his side. Brothers and sisters, we can't lose this war. Have we forgotten what the hell we fought for? Pick up the phone, don't knock on a door. 22 too many, we must carry on, fighting these battles until they are won. We know that we walk on the edge of a knife, but one simple call can save a life. Whatever happened to the brave old veteran? He was a good friend of mine.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. You're giving veterans a voice today. Powered by WorkSimple, where we simplify your mission.
Find us on the web at mbradio.u.
And we're back with Peter R. Hosky and our good friend Joel. Did a little drive-by. Joel, it's good to see you. Joel is actually the founder of MBR, and he is who has made this dream possible for everyone. So thank you, Joel. We love you and we appreciate you so much. Peter, I'd really like to continue the talk about legacy. And I'd love to know how you took such an incredible gift, a skill set that you honed and developed, and how that became your new purpose.
Words. I will say how we got to this point, how I got to this point. Being in the military, constantly moving every 3 years. You know, I realize most people, I'm from Florida. Most people don't even see mountains because Florida flat, most people don't realize that. So when I got into photography, my oldest brother, bless his soul, he bought me camera gear and he believed in me. And every PCS, I would get better and better, from Fort Campbell to Arizona to Texas, learning the different landscapes. And I just grew a passion to truly see the world. And the best way of showing people how things look through my eyes was photography. And over time, that obsession to be good at taking photos, serving people, because it is the chance I get to give back. I get to help a person who's very insecure feel beautiful in those moments of being on a session with me. Wow. From showing them how to pick their outfits, to design, to creating a backdrop for them or a background, picking locations. I think it's an art. And don't get me wrong, it's a lot of great photographers out there. But I can say this. We do it because we love making a person smile. And I call it my superpower is freezing time. I get to freeze time with you. Wow. And you will remember it forever.
Oh, that's so powerful. That is so powerful. How do you feel like that was able to help you move into your new purpose? You okay, Peter? Oh, we got a little mute problem. Some technical difficulties for our viewers. But we are talking about how Peter is able to use that gift of freezing time and how that helped you, Peter, with your transition and helped you to heal as you found your new purpose. And I think I cannot hear you right now. But I know Peter's going to figure out his mic situation in a second here. And I will tell you as well to our listeners, that is definitely what helped me as well with my transition. It was finding a new purpose, finding a new identity. And it's so exciting for Peter to talk about how he really leans into his legacy of having the gift of making people smile, making them feel beautiful, helping them to really have the ability to connect with the best version of themselves. And I think that's so incredible, Peter. And I'd love to see if we've got your microphone working again. And I think we're still having a little bit of technical difficulties. But yeah, and I'll tell you all, for me, I really could not step into my new purpose until I fully grieved the loss of my old purpose. And for me, it was so challenging because, for our veterans out there and for our family members and friends and civilians who work with veterans, there is nothing more powerful than having a purpose in life, a mission in life of serving something greater than yourselves. And so another piece that is challenging for civilians to understand is why we can't find that same level of purpose once we leave the military. And, I've heard people talk about, oh, well, I just transitioned into my new purpose, and my new purpose is helping business owners, helping them to make more money or, help market their business. And with all due respect, I think that's great if you are a veteran and you're able to transition so easily. But I would offer that for most of us, it's not that simple. It's really not that simple. And, Peter had talked about his spiritual healing, the healing from the trauma that he dealt with. And that takes time. The only way that you can really step into a new purpose is to grieve and mourn the loss of your old purpose. And again, this may be hard for people who didn't serve to understand, but when you're a veteran and you're serving something so much greater than yourself, you're literally operating, even if you're not deployed at the time, but you're literally operating under the idea that if you need to, you will lay down your life for your country. You will lay down your life for the person to the left or right of you, the people that become your brothers and sisters in arms. And it's so hard for people that haven't served to understand the significance of that. I think most people would agree that they would lay down their life for a family member, but they're not forced daily with the reality of that might happen today. That might happen today. And I just want to encourage all of our veterans out there to understand that there's nothing wrong with you. If you're feeling lost, you're struggling, you're trying to figure out who you are after transitioning, or maybe you're getting ready to transition, this is a big deal. This is a big deal, y'all. And if you have a friend or a family member who is a service member and they're getting ready to transition, I would implore that you reach out to them on a weekly, if not daily basis. And if you just text them and say, how you doing? And they say, good, that's not enough. We've got to really care about our veterans, these men and women who have been willing to pay the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our nation, in defense of our Constitution, in defense of our freedom. And I really hope that the people listening out there get a better idea. For those of you that haven't served or don't really understand it, I just really hope that you get even just a glimpse of what it's like to be a veteran and what it's like to transition, and maybe be a little bit more compassionate, a little bit more caring. Don't let us fool you. Do not let us fool you, because a lot of us, we will perform. We will continue to perform and put on a brave face and say that everything is okay. And Peter, I think you're back. I can hear myself echoing in the back. But we've got our last commercial break, and we will be back with Peter for some final thoughts. We're really excited.
Sip of cold beer from my old man when I was 8 years old. He taught me to cheer for Earnhardt when he put the 24 in the wall. Came holes popping, cats pulling up a truck line off a no-name road. I can try to change, but I already know I can't help it if my draw's a little too strong. I was raised on cranking up a country song. I was born and bred on a little cornbread in my backwoods style's homegrown. You might think I'm wild and reckless, I can't help it. Learned how to drive in Pops S10 with a 4-speed on the floor, and that brake barrel 410 broke in, shooting them coke cans off the porch. Sitting out back throwing gas on a pine pallet fire with a little bit of smoke. I can try to change, but I already know I can't help it if my draw's a little too strong. I was raised on cranking up a country song. I was born and bred on a little cornbread in my backwoods style's homegrown. You might think I'm wild and reckless, I can't help it. country song. I was born and bred on a little cornbread in my backwoods style's homegrown. You might think I'm wild and reckless. I can't help it. I can't help it. Lord, I can't help it.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at nbradio.net.
And we are back with Peter Hosky. Welcome, Peter.
How everybody doing? How everybody doing tonight?
We've got another question from John. And he says, how hard was it for you to deal with losing your rank identity? When I retired, people didn't realize how hard it was for people to not yell at ease when I walked in a room. What about you, Peter? Did you miss that?
It took some getting used to. And then when you're with guys, like even now, I work with guys who we all got military history, so they'll still play little games like that. And the crazy part is my body still reacts to that, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's in me. So that's a pretty good one. I like that one.
That is a good question. And I have another one for you, Peter, one that I think is really important for us to address. Peter, what would you say to a veteran who looks successful on the outside, but feels completely lost on the inside?
Well, that was something I had to go through myself. Okay. And I truly had to sit down in front of a therapist and be honest on who I was. His exact words were, the lights are off. There's no need to put on a fake presentation of yourself. Be your authentic self. And it was so hard for me to do because I had lost that version of myself. And I would say to a person who looks so successful on the outside, if a part of you is slowly slipping away or dying, get professional help. I know we can't stress that enough. When talking to a friend, a family member, or any category other than a professional, it's not the same. When someone takes you back to childhood trauma, okay, that makes you truly see yourself. My biggest issue was I never felt good enough, no matter what I did. Even though JJ speaks on how amazing I was as a leader, I didn't see that. I didn't. That's why I always push myself to read more, to understand what was going on around me. It pushed me to be better. So I would say to any veteran who is going through this same energy, get professional help.
Yes. Yes, that's so powerful, Peter. And I just want to echo that and understand that you're not weak. You know, there's actually a study that took place, Peter, and it was to evaluate the types of people and personalities that are attracted to the military. And would you believe that a lot of us that are drawn to the military, it's because of the way that we were raised, the way that we grew up, the way that we had to prove ourselves. the way that we had to prove ourselves. I mean, you might as well be telling my story, Peter, when you talked about the developmental trauma that you experienced. And I'm 46 years old and I just figured that out recently. And for me, I had, just to let you see a little peek behind the curtain, and I had a great family, but for whatever reason, as a very young child, I felt like I had to have a reason to exist because I felt like I wasn't safe. And so if I just performed, if I was always motivated and happy and encouraging everybody else, then that could be my reason to exist. And then when I joined the military, I didn't need to perform anymore. I didn't need a reason to exist. My reason was so much bigger than I could imagine. It was to serve the people of the United States. It was to fight for freedom. That was who I was. And like Peter said, there's so much that we don't understand about why we operate the way that we do in the world. And, Peter, did you know any of this about yourself before you sought professional help?
No, I didn't. I was clueless. I actually was upset with the therapist when he was really making me go back further and further and further to try to identify, why do you push yourself when other people only give 20%? You're trying to give 100 every situation. Why do you push yourself so much? And I would give him a simple answer and he was like, no, he's not accepting it. And I had to keep, you know how it works. You got to be there that hour and you going to talk. So he wasn't taking it easy on me and I needed it. And that wake up call helped me evolve to be a better version of myself.
Oh, that's good. That's so good. And unfortunately, the other thing that I would welcome you or invite you listeners to understand, and I'm speaking to anyone out there, it doesn't matter if you wore a uniform or not. All of us have some significant challenges that occurred while we were being brought up in this world, and we were, our prefrontal lobes were starting to form, and we developed a belief about whether we were safe or not in the world. And it's really illuminating. And Peter, I don't know if you'd agree with me, but for me, that was one of the best discoveries of the pain of going through therapy, because I fought it for so long, like you, right? I fought it. I'm like, I don't want to do this. This is
agreed. I agree with you.
Right. But when you actually discover these things about yourself and how you operate, it is so powerful. And it's like a Mario Brothers, and right, and you're all of a sudden you've grown up, and it's like the growth is exponential, and now all of a sudden you're operating in the world in just a whole nother level. And I want to thank you, Peter, for sharing that with us, because we have to understand that our stories, our challenges are what make us matter. Because there are people that are going to face the same problems and the same challenges. And if they don't see somebody who's been there, done it, and survived and is now thriving on the other side, they're not going to believe it's possible for themselves. So thank you for being so vulnerable, Peter. And, we've got just a minute left. So I want to turn the floor over to you if you have any closing thoughts before we say goodnight.
Well, I would say this. This has been an amazing podcast, and I'm so honored and thankful that you thought of me to be a part of something that's beautiful. I know I tuned in for your first episode, and I will make sure I'm a part of everything you touch, because I think you're an amazing person, friend, and you already know you got the best commander award. So God bless you.
God bless you, Peter. I love you, man. We all love you. As this episode has almost tripled in the amount of people listening, and that is all a direct testament of you. So as we say goodnight, I hope you've been inspired. to understand a little bit more about yourselves and take some action to lean in to your legacy. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for watching and listening to Military Broadcast Radio on Roku TV. If you missed today's episode, the podcast will be available on
and all major platforms shortly after we go off the air. We're here for you, not for us, giving veterans a voice. This is Military Broadcast Radio.